So how can you put your SOL to work to earn additional airdrops and to earn additional yield? If you currently hold SOL, it is in your best interest to instead convert that into something like Jito SOL. So Jito SOL is the Lido of Solana, basically, right? Lido or Rocket Pool of Solana. So the ST ETH or the R ETH of Solana. This is Jito SOL. And basically what this is you're giving your SOL to putting in a smart contract and letting other validators use that SOL for you. They're going to run a validator and they're going to give you the rewards back. As you can see up on the screen here, you can currently earn 7.09% on your SOL. If you are not currently staking your SOL, you are crazy. It is one of the greatest opportunities. I mean, you have an asset that's gone up almost 1,000% this year, and you can earn 7% yield on it. It's pretty crazy. It's not completely risk-free, but pretty much risk-free. And I think it's just an incredible opportunity. So start there. Definitely you want to be holding SOL. You want to be holding Jito SOL. Now, to get your Jito SOL, I recommend you use Jupiter. The reason why is Jupiter has just launched their first round of their airdrop. And so that was a snapshot from like back in November and beyond. So if you weren't using Jupiter before that, you're not going to get in the first round, which will come out here in January. But they have, I believe, 5 total rounds of an airdrop. So if you continue to use Jupiter now, you will be farming that airdrop. So that's a no-brainer. Every swap you make in Solana, make sure you do it on Jupiter because you'll be able to farm this airdrop. So just go to Jupiter, as you can see up on the screen, connect your wallet, and you can simply just swap your SOL for Jito SOL. Looks, feels the same as Uniswap. There's not much more I need to teach there. But you can also do limit orders. You can dollar cost average. You can do a bunch of things here with Jupiter. It's pretty cool. You can also bridge. So if you have assets elsewhere, you can bridge them onto Solana. That's the starting point. What you want to do is get your assets into Jito SOL so that we can start to use those in other protocols. Now, one thing I would say is don't put 100% of your SOL into this. You can put 100% into Jito SOL. That's fine. But don't put 100% into farming these airdrops. And the reason is you might get liquidated. You never know. These are newer protocols, so you don't know if they're going to potentially rug or have a smart contract bug or get hacked. There is some risk here. And so I want you to understand that. So the bulk of your SOL or Jito SOL should be stored in a hardware wallet. Maybe 20%, 10%, I don't know, depends on your risk appetite and how much assets you have, can go into farming these airdrops. The first one I want to talk about is MarginFi, and I recommend that you put a large sum of your airdrop farmable SOL, the amount that you're actually going to use, into this one to start. The reason I say this one is probably the farthest along, likely the soonest to drop an airdrop. So I think you want to start collecting these points right away. It's pretty straightforward on what you want to do here. Basically, you're going to add supply. So you're going to supply your Jito SOL, and in return, you're going to receive a little bit of an APY. Now, it's not much because there's not much risk here, but you can put your Jito SOL, you'll get 0.14%. It's irrelevant. Normally, I would say don't even worry about doing that. But again, 0.14% on your Jito SOL, which is already earning you 7% on your SOL, plus you're going to get an airdrop from this. So you want to supply your Jito SOL in here. Again, put as much as you need. If you have other assets, you can do that too, but I recommend keeping this very simple. So start with just your Jito SOL, supply that. Then what you're going to be able to do is move over. So you're on lend right now. If you can see on my screen, that's supplying or lending. So you're allowing someone else to take that and do whatever they want with it. But then you can go and borrow yourself. Now, those who lend get 1 point for every dollar that you lend. Okay. But if you borrow, you get 4 points for every dollar that you borrow. And so obviously, if you need more points, borrowing is better. Now, it's a little bit more riskier, so be careful. But I'm going to show you how you can do it where there's not really a ton of risk. Once you've lent, that gives you the ability to now borrow because you've put up some collateral, okay? It'll show you how much. So this is pretty straightforward, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to click borrow, and then you're going to find a token that is similar to Jito SOL. And what I mean is MSOL, BSOL, these are all, or SOL itself if you want, these are all derivatives of Solana, meaning they all go up and down together. There is no big difference in prices. If you were to borrow in something like Bonk, or in USDT, or in wrapped Bitcoin, or JTO, these will fluctuate from the Solana price, right? And the problem here is that if one of those goes up and the other one stays the same or goes down, you might get liquidated. So there's a lot more risk in doing this. So I highly recommend, if you're putting Jito SOL as what you're lending, then you borrow something that also follows the price of Solana, because then you basically can't get liquidated because it all goes up and down together. So if your GTO goes up, but you're borrowing, let's say MSOL, right? This is just another liquid staking derivative of Solana. Well, as long as they go up and down together, then the amount you're borrowing versus the amount, like the ratio of the amount you borrow versus lend, it never really changes. And so you're not really at risk of getting liquidated, okay? So there is a fee to borrow something like MSOL, and it's 2%. So you are paying 2% APY, it's per year. It's not that big of a deal. You're going to earn more than that in your airdrop that you get. So don't worry about the fee. It's a short-term thing. Otherwise, okay, maybe you wouldn't do this, but to lower your risk while you airdrop farm, that's what I recommend you doing. So you're lending GTO, you're borrowing MSOL. You could also borrow LST. It's also another derivative. Those are the two that I would recommend. Stick with those, okay? That's basically all you need to do with Margin Fi. One more point. If you then, once you've done this, if you go to your points, it'll show you how much points you've made versus lending versus borrowing from referrals. You can actually copy your referral link and send that out to friends, to others, and you can earn additional rewards for those that click on your link and then do it. So again, obviously the link is in the show notes below to find Margin Fi. I've used my referral link, so it helps me, but more, it makes sure you get to the right link. So now what you have is you've lent out your GTO, you've borrowed MSOL or LST, and that's now sitting in your wallet. What you want to do now is you can go and lend those out and airdrop farm additional points from other protocols with the same assets, okay? So now that you have MSOL in your wallet, go to Camino Finance, okay? That's app.camino.finance. Link is in the show notes. Connect your wallet. And what you can do is same thing. You're going to go to borrow and lend, and you're just going to lend. Right now, I wouldn't worry about borrowing. We don't want to get too far into this loop. You could lend your MSOL or your LST in here, same way you just did it, right? So just go down, find the one that you want to do. Here's GTO, here's MSOL. You already have that. Just click supply. You're in 0.12%. Again, small, nothing big, but you're earning that and you're farming the airdrop once again. We don't know how the point system works yet for Camino. As you can see from the top here, it says points. We have some points are coming soon. So we don't know what the structure is. So this is why I'm not putting too much in here yet. I will probably move some of my Margin Fi over to this once I learn more about how they're going to do this. But for now, I'm just supplying. There's very little risk if you just supply. You could go and then borrow, let's say, GTO from that if you want to. You probably get more points. You could then go take that, put it somewhere else. Again, if you're going to do this, looping is what you would call this. Make sure you stay in only SOL derivative assets, okay? You can keep going back and forth. So take some of your MSOL, your LST, put it into there in Camino Finance, leave it. Then the last one I would say you can do on Solana is you can go to Meteora, okay? This is another one where they have said publicly that they are going to do an airdrop and they're going to have some sort of point system, but they haven't launched it yet. So again, if you have MSOL left over or LST, you can come in here and you can simply click on it and you can deposit some of your MSOL. And again, you will be supplying MSOL. And that's all you need to do there. Now, one thing I just want to say is there are a bunch of other options you can do in these protocols. If you look on Camino, you can provide liquidity. You can go long and short. On Meteora, you can have pools. You can do a bunch of different things. The problem with these is there's just a lot more risk when you start to add pools. So this is like putting SOL plus, I don't know, whatever this token is, used card. You can earn a ridiculous amount of yield. I would not recommend doing this. Yes, you can earn a lot of yield, but likely you're going to have a lot of impermanent loss and a lot of issues here. There's just a big chance that you get liquidated or end up losing money. So for most people, I would recommend you don't do this. Leave this for the professionals. All you got to worry about is just lending, borrowing, but mainly lending unless you get some more points. Okay, so stick to that, the vaults and Meteora, and lending over on Camino. And that's it. If you do that, you are now eligible to get an airdrop from Jupiter. You're eligible to get an airdrop from Margin Fi, from Camino Finance, and from Meteora. Okay. Now, if you want to do more because you have extra SOL, then head to our newsletter. Again, it's in the link below. And there's a bunch of other protocols that you can go and do. These are just super, super easy. Takes you 20 minutes to do this, not even, and you get 4 airdrops. Now, the Jupiter or the GTO airdrop that came last month was 10K. These aren't going to be that big, so I wouldn't expect that, but you still will do well. Hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars on each of these. Again, obviously depends on how many points you're getting, so how much you're actually putting in. As for how much, I get this question a lot. We have no idea. Basically, what's going to happen is there's points, there's a ranking system, and they'll kind of give you based off of, how many you get versus the entire leaderboard. But again, we don't really know how that's going to play out. But I would put hundreds. If you can get thousands of dollars, I would do that. But hundreds of dollars will do. One SOL might not be enough, but somewhere around, the hundreds of dollars should work here. And then you can put that across each of these protocols. So that's pretty straightforward, low risk way of managing this. Again, I would recommend only a certain percentage of your SOL portfolio. And even if you can, get it in a different wallet. So keep your like stack of SOL that you're holding long-term that's in Jito Sol and put it in a hardware wallet. Open a different wallet, a phantom wallet, and use it for these, okay? Don't mix them up, because if you happen to click on a wrong link or do something wrong, the last thing you want is all of your SOL to get drained. It's okay to risk 10, 20%. That's not the worst case scenario. And so make sure you segment them into different wallets.